Good afternoon, Westwood, and welcome to the Wolverine Report, episode 43. Joined as always by co-host and producer Evan Cardimino, Charlotte Lynch, technical director, and we got Melinda Garfield back, executive director, Westwood Media Center. And today we have a fantastic guest at a fantastic location that we're all very familiar with. A lot of games we did spring and fall, or fall and spring. And today we're delighted to have the new athletic director for your Westwood Wolverines, Richkaard Verrier. Rich, how are you? And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. Obviously, super excited to be here. Look at this weather today. It's a beautiful day, and beautiful weather heading into the preseason. It doesn't get any better than this. So I'm really looking forward to kicking off the season and games getting started and getting going. That's when the real, the fun begins.
Same here. We're chopping at the bit. You know, it's like we're talking about, doing season previews and all that. And that's always fun, but nothing beats the games being out there.
Right, of course. Yeah. I had a few students stop in today, and you could see my energy from doing the stuff and the admin work to oh, nice, kids are here.
Yes.
That's the best part of the job, and I'm so excited to talk to them and whatnot. Yeah. So can't wait to get all the kids and have them back on campus for sure. Just looking forward to working with you all as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And first off, welcome. So welcome to the Westwood community. I know a bunch of people have welcomed you over the last month and beyond, but welcome. On behalf of Westwood Media Center, the Wolverine Report, and congratulations. Obviously a very exciting time for you. And you've jumped right in, very active and, doing an awesome job. Talk us through what is the last month and a half been like for you, and, how excited are you for the year ahead?
So the last month, it's funny. So July is usually supposed to be the downtime for athletic directors. You're working nonstop, around the clock. Most ADs are putting 200 plus days in. So July is usually when you kind of kick back and relax. For me, it was the opposite. That is really when things started to kick in. It's been good though. I've been really trying to get to learn all the systems in place. Really been getting time, really taking time to get out into the community, meet other people. The amount of people I've met in this month time span, I could even tell you. And I apologize to those folks if I forget your name. It's gonna take me a little bit, but it's been a process, and I knew it was gonna be like that, but it's also been exciting. Just exciting talking to the folks, seeing people out in the community. One of the things that I talked about that attracted me to Westwood so much is that community feel. And already in a month's time, I feel like I've been here for so long already. That's how much of a community feel it has. So as I was saying earlier, I'm just excited for the games to start and the meets and getting to see all the kids and the parents and folks like yourselves and everyone in the community coming together. What better way to get people in the community together than a sporting event? To me, there is no greater event than a sporting event. So
absolutely.
We're getting there.
And you're coming from Needham High School, which is a fantastic school, fantastic academics, athletics, student athletes, all of that. A lot of similarities to Westwood. What similarities do you see from Needham that are here at Westwood? And then how did Westwood kind of get on your radar, with, applying for the role?
So Needham and Westwood are very similar in my eyes in terms of, kind of what I just talked about. And this is no knock on every other town. Of course, every other town has its community and its, the feel of a community. But I have not experienced anything like that
Yeah.
Anywhere else, uh, especially in those two towns. Um, the I think what makes it so similar is the support that you get from the community. Like every and anybody like wants to help and be a part of athletics, um, and that was one of the things that was attractive about Westwood. And um, when I had heard that Matt was going to retire, and I'm kind of you know doing my checkbox list of
Hmm.
like things I like, things I don't like, would I be a good fit? Um, eh, there there was no negative check boxes. Like all my everything um, positive on my list, checked off for Westwood. Um, Funny enough, I was actually here last fall with my son running around here. Our girls soccer team in
Yeah.
Needham
Non-league game.
was
Yeah.
playing Westwood for a non-league game, and I was like, let me just take the little one out and let's go to Westwood and let's just walk around. And I remember us like talking to families
Yeah.
like in the stands, just running around. And what do you know? Almost a year later,
Yeah.
I get the opportunity to lead the
You got the
athletic department.
keys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because
So it's awesome.
that game, if I remember, Evan, Westwood played Needham, which was like one of the top teams in the state for the girls soccer,
Yep.
and they played them close. I think it was like a 1-goal game, but it helped boost Westwood's confidence because the next game after that, they beat Hopkinton, who was undefeated in the TVL for the past 2 years, and
Yeah.
like a top 4 team in the state.
Yeah.
So like, I think you brought some good vibes in that game because the girls came out and they were unbelievable. It was probably one of the most memorable games we've covered, in our time together.
Well, hopefully I'm bringing that mojo.
Yes. Yeah.
This fall and carry into the winter and spring for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking ahead, season's about to start here in a few weeks. We're taping this in middle August. What are some of the goals you have for the upcoming season, your first year as the Westwood AD?
So I've kind of told this to everybody, and I have a coaches meeting tonight, and I'm going to kind of reiterate this. Um, it's our job goes at such a fast pace. You can get lost in a million things, going a million miles per hour. You all would have no idea how my morning looked like, but my morning was hectic, going a million miles per hour. I guess it's just the art of making it look easy when in reality it's not. For me, year one, it's really just getting to know everyone, getting to know the community, the systems in place, how things are run. Um, eh, you know, Fortunate enough for me, I was an assistant athletic director for 4 years. Worked under 3 athletic directors. I've seen the good and bad. I've worked with 2 of the ADs who are in their first year. I've seen it, when it's on the good side, and they take their time trying to do things, and I've also seen the negative impact it could have when you try to do too much in such a short span of time. So right now it's really just getting to know everyone, getting to know the coaches, getting to know the kids, getting to know staff, people in the community such as yourselves. Um, that's really my main thing for this year. Uh, Obviously, if other accolades come with that, that's great. But that's not what I'm looking for. It's just getting to know people, and then of course another thing that's kind of part of my philosophy is making sure the students have the best experience possible. Um, it's something I talk about all the time, and people will constantly hear me talk about it. Um, None of this is for us. It's all for the kids. It's all for the students. And I think that if you're not in it for the students, then I don't think you should be part of high school athletics and middle school athletics, and educational athletics. To be honest.
So, Rich, one of the common themes we have with guests on the podcast are they talk about, when players get into coaching or when, ex-players get into, athletic directing. There was at some point in their career where someone enlightened them whether it been role models, whether it been, just people they respected, and they said, this actually seems like a great career. Was there a point like that in your playing days where you saw that opportunity of this as being a potential career after you were done playing sports?
Yeah. So to be honest, I was majoring in accounting in college.
Brutal. The
Yeah.
FIFO, LIFO. I had enough of that. Quick.
I just knew that like me sitting behind a desk
Yeah.
all day is just, it wasn't for me. And you'll get to learn and see like my personality. I, I'm I like to be out there talking to people,
Yeah.
talking to folks, getting to know folks. So when I learned about athletic directing and working in high schools, I was like, you know what? I think I can do admin and sports and combine the two. My path might have not been the same as everyone else, or maybe it was. I actually got experience in all sorts of things. So I worked for youth soccer clubs. I did some camps for middle schools. Obviously coached and got into the assistant AD roles at high schools. Did a few things over at Boston College while I was getting my master's degree, and worked for the New England Revolution for 5 seasons.
Nice.
So you can imagine having the experience from youth sports all the way up to professional sports. I was like, high school is where I need to be, and where I'm meant to be. I'm from Milton, Massachusetts, so not too far away. My parents came from Haiti back in the, oh good gosh, mom and dad, I hope you're not watching. Back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And they had a really good friend. His name was Serge Desir. He passed back in 2008, but every summer he ran a soccer camp for a bunch of kids in the community, just to get them doing something constructive. And that's really where like my passion for sports picked up. Those are some of the most memorable moments, spending hours at a time in weather like this on a turf field, just playing all day, no worries in the world. I always think back to those moments and those experiences, because those are the ones that stick with me.
Yeah.
And I think about that as I'm doing things with coaches and student athletes, because eventually you want these students, when they're out of here 10, 15, 20 years from now, be able to talk about those special moments and those times. That, for me, that's what it's really all about. Of course, no one's going to deny state championships aren't nice.
Winning's nice, yeah.
Winning is nice, for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, like, it just, I don't know, nothing beats just like being able to look back on those moments with your friends and your buddies, just talking about those moments and those times. It's just phenomenal.
And you mentioned too, the biggest thing and the reason why we're here is for the students and making sure they get a great experience. I really like that answer. But one of the things we ask a lot of the professionals who end up working in the sports field, we've talked to quite a few, is, what's some of the advice you would give a student now who's looking into sports, having done it for a few years now professionally? And then also, just in general, what are some of the lessons you're looking to pass down on these students as you help guide them towards a career past high school, into college, and into the professional working force?
Yeah. I would tell the students kind of to jump into everything. When you look at the workforce now, and just I think the sports world is just growing so much at a rapid pace, and there's so many different things that you could do within it. I would tell them do everything, and I even feel like I limited myself to a certain degree. I would tell student athletes, if you can, get the experience where you can. One of the best things that happened to me was working in professional sports, because had I not done it, I wouldn't have known that I did not like it and it wasn't for me. But me jumping into it and doing it, I was able to realize, like, okay, these long hours and just always being there, having to do this, having to do that, it's not for me. So I knew that. So the student athletes just have to get into things and do it. Even if you don't like it, it's still a great lesson. Like, now you know that you don't like that certain thing.
And then, also that kind of goes into, we ask a lot of guests as well about risk taking. How important is risk taking? And, I'll ask you that. How important is it to try these things that may or may not work for you, especially starting a new position where you definitely I would say in this position, have a lot of room where you could take a lot of risks, try new things, experiment, and see what works for the students, what doesn't work. How important is that to you?
Risk taking is everything. It's even if it doesn't open doors immediately, it will eventually. I think back to the time I was at Boston College, and Martin Jarman was the athletic director at the time. He's now at UCLA. I reached out, I emailed him. Of course, you're emailing an athletic director at it's not just Boston College. Like, they're part of the ACC, like Power 5. Did not expect for him to get back to me at all. He did. I was able to go to his office. He was between meetings, and I only had 5 minutes of his time, but I made the most of those 5 minutes. I can't even remember what I asked him, but he gave me some good tidbits. But just something as simple as that, like being vulnerable, right? And putting yourself out there and trying to make those connections. And I remember at the time, there were so many jobs that I had applied for, and it was either no or didn't hear back. That's another thing I would say is, like, don't get discouraged. Even if someone didn't respond, they definitely saw the email, they saw the text, they saw the phone call, and it's all part of the process. It really is all part of the process. Everyone goes through it. We all go through it, and these student athletes are going to go through it. So it's really about staying the course, but also I'd say putting yourself out there and taking the risk, even if it doesn't result in immediate satisfaction. Down the line, you'll be grateful that you did it.
I want to double click on when you were talking about involvement, getting involved. You were coaching, you were working for the Revolution, you were doing a bunch of different things, and you knew, like, not all of them were going to be kind of what your career would be, but it was good to you're building a network. You're going outside your comfort zone, and you're learning different operations. For any athletic team, there's a lot of different operations. There's the game day, there's the administration stuff, scheduling. I mean, it's probably endless, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
How important was that for you to kind of see how different operations work within, technically that's a business when you're kind of working with a professional team, but even at the younger level, some of the things I've learned coaching is you can't have the same expectations with them as you would for a coworker. They're learning, they're going to be emotional. Right. They might run off the field, So like it's different, but those are things that I learned. But how much did you take those experiences and how much do you carry them with you today, like in your current role?
All of them. Yeah. The very simple answer, all of them. That was the point of what I did. And I didn't even realize it until maybe about like 3-4 years in, where I was like, wow, like I have put myself in a good spot and I can be strategic.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was like, okay, like I'm gonna get experience in X, Y, Z, so that when the time comes, like I'm ready. Working at Boston College, I was able to learn the facility and operation piece of things. Of course, coaching, youth programs, and I worked for Skyhawk Sports Academy for a summer, and even being the liaison for Eastern Mass, doing that for a summer, I was able to learn how to communicate with staff and staff them in different locations. With the Revs, I learned how to work long hours, which this job requires it, and it's just you need the stamina. And then, of course, working as a high school soccer coach, just knowing how to connect with the kids and learning how that works. You can imagine, like, all of those experiences are now coming into one, because being an athletic director, you need to know a little bit of everything and all of that. I even think back to my time working at Thayer Sports Center and seeing how a hockey rink and gyms are run and rentals and all that sort of stuff. You literally take, even if it's one thing out of the experience, you now have taken one thing from a bunch of different things, and the cool thing is now is like I get to combine all those things into one. So I didn't even realize I was doing it, and it actually worked out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because I mean, I think it's important to do things that you know you're not going to do and maybe not enjoy, but to do them and to appreciate when you are not doing them anymore. Like, one thing I always say is everyone should work in a restaurant at some point, and work in a restaurant on Sundays. It is like the most difficult time to be working in a restaurant. Everyone's going to send food back, and you're going to deal with difficult, customers and whatnot. But it makes me appreciate I'm working hard. I'm developing patience in that. And I also know I'm going to never be that kind of person when I go to the restaurant. And I'm going to appreciate that, I've moved on and, I'm doing different things. But very important, I think, developmentally, and doing a lot of things, and just at the end of the day, giving yourself credit for it too, I think is important. A lot of people do it and they just, won't give themselves credit for a lot of these positive things they did. So that's awesome.
No, absolutely.
So you were a soccer player in college at Curry. Did you play any other sports growing up outside of soccer? Was soccer kind of like the go-to sport for you?
So for youth level, did Pop Warner for a few years. Played baseball. Did some skating, like some free skating. My sisters and I used to go to the local hockey rink, or the local skating rink, and just skate all the time. And then basketball. So basketball and soccer were my two things in high school. I think back to you asking me about, what's some advice I would give to student athletes. And I remember being approached by the lacrosse coach to try and play lacrosse, the outdoor track coach. I would tell student athletes, like, get that experience. Looking back on it now, like I actually really, really wish that I did try those out. And especially lacrosse, it's one of those sports that I've been growing in appreciation for more and more. And track athletes, I think they don't get enough credit for what they do. And they are some of, if not the best.
They are.
Like when we're talking about athletes, can run, can jump, can move laterally, like quickness. They're some of the best athletes out there.
Especially here. We've got some state championships over the fall and the spring.
Which is awesome.
Well, we talk about John Quinn. So John
Yeah.
Quinn was a kid who played goalie for Westwood. He
Yeah.
then went to CM. He was good enough. He was playing as a starting goaltender.
Wow.
And then wanted to come back and play his senior year with his friends. And you know what he did his senior year? He went out and played soccer. And, you know, I don't know if he had played soccer in a while, but just joined the team to be with his buddies. Create some memories. He had a goal, we called.
That's
Played
awesome.
hockey. Had a great save in the playoffs, one of the more memorable saves. And then went out for lacrosse in the spring, where I don't think he played much of that, but he just got involved. He was playing with his friends. He maximized his senior year. And the dividends he got from that, he got a Final Four in lacrosse. He got an incredible playoff win in hockey. And then
Yeah.
soccer, he had some great memories in a playoff night game here on the turf. And, you know, I would completely agree with that sentiment of get involved, play as many sports as you can, especially like, you know, don't wait till your senior year. You know, if you are a senior, do it your senior year, but if you can do it beforehand, you're going to meet different coaches who are going to teach you different things. You're going to have different, you know, friends you'll meet and stuff like that. And it's fun. And one question I want to ask.
Yeah.
So high school and college, how many weddings have you gone to for your teammates that you've been like in the wedding party with former teammates?
Oh. High school and college combined?
Combined, yeah.
It's probably been about.
He's still young, folks, too. So
It's not that big of a number. It's
Yeah.
probably been about 6. One of my good teammates and friends actually getting married in the vineyard in about a month.
who is it? Let's get a shout out. We give shout out. We do shout outs every now and then for any friends and family.
Sorry, Ryan.
Congrats, Ryan. Great spot for a wedding, though, the vineyard. But we mentioned that, we asked that question because what it does is it reiterates the bonds that are created during sports. And I used to say when I was coaching hockey, I say, guys, all these guys in this room, you're going to be probably lifelong friends. And many of you will be in each other's weddings. You
Yeah.
might not see that now, but I promise you. And I always like to ask, you know, different guests when they come on, you know, that question. And it just confirms it, that you guys probably became very, very close friends because of so many different reasons. One, you know, you're probably friends already on the team, but like the games, you know, sports, and like, you know, being together and chasing after the same goals and, you know, working hard together and all that brings you even closer, you know.
And it's funny you say that because I'm laughing in my head because I'm thinking about like, so the you know, some of my buddies that I'm still very close with now that I played college soccer,
Yeah.
we all got there on campus our freshman year. We all think we're, you know, hot stuff because we all had top honors from our high schools, and we all hate each other, and we're battling for
Sizing
a
each
spot
other up,
and
yeah.
sizing each other up, and it's funny because, like, you know, we'll all go golf now and we laugh about those
Yeah.
moments, like like
I remember it.
remember when I like try to slide tackle you and
Yeah,
take
yeah,
you out
yeah.
during practice, and
Yeah.
it truly is like amazing how sports can bring so many different people together.
Yeah.
No matter where you're from, your background, what you've been through, it's such a beautiful thing because you all have one common goal that you're working towards. And, you know, I always just remember like those 2 hours that I got to spend out on the soccer field were always the best 2 hours. It was an escape from reality. Of course, you got to come back to reality.
Yeah.
But it was just something about being on the field with 10 of your brothers, you know, going to battle, having a common goal. And I hope that the student athletes, you know, not just across the country and the world, but especially here in Westwood, I hope that they feel that when they take the field or the court, the pool, race courses. I hope they feel that, you know, look around me. I'm with these people.
That sense of pride, especially like
right?
the you know, I always say wearing the W. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than that. Wearing that and like wearing it together with your, you know, 10 and 11, teammates.
Absolutely.
That is special.
It is. It is, and it's one of those things where like they should not ever take it for granted.
Yeah.
And it goes by quick.
It does. Blink. Yeah.
It goes by quick. The class of 2026 that's coming in.
Yeah.
I'm sure when they started back in 2022, they were like, "Yeah, I got time. Your time is almost up, but you got to make the most of it."
I got my 20th. I got my 20th high school reunion coming up in the fall.
Really?
And I just blinked. And I'm like, all right,
Where'd the time go?
I would need it to slow down. So, but I mean, that's a really cool response and answer, and it just shows how important sports is. And how much do you see sports and life crossover? And how much have you tapped into sports to dealing with things in your personal, professional life?
It's crucial. Without, obviously, I was fortunate enough and blessed to be able to go on and play Division III soccer, which that's a tough thing to do. It's not easy by any means going on to the next level and playing sports. Without college soccer, I don't know that I'm sitting here right now. Just time management,
Totally.
learning how to be professional and dealing with all sorts of people from different backgrounds. Holding yourself accountable and being disciplined, right? You talk about, of course, you're in college and there's a bunch of different events going on, Friday, Saturday night, but thinking about Sunday practice or Monday game, and when will I have time to do my homework? Well, unfortunately, I've been in class and I had practice all day, but I have some downtime this evening. Sorry, like I gotta get this done. Without those lessons and having sports, like I said, like I don't know that I'm sitting here right now, and the same story I'm telling you is the same spiel I'll be telling all the students. I'm like, it's real. Like I've been through it, I've lived it, and you take those lessons and you apply it to your daily lives. And you don't even think about it, Like I come into work this morning and I open my laptop and check emails, and I know there's certain things that's got to be done. That's discipline. That it's no different than during college, going back to the dorm after practice, knowing I have to get things done. It's the same deal.
Mm-hmm.
You come into the office, it's not kick your feet up and do whatever. It's you got X, Y, and Z to do, and it needs to be done.
Another great lesson you learn in sports isn't just that, it's who you meet and who you learn from. And I think with a lot of the coaches, athletes we've talked to, the big thing is learning from other people and having those leaders. So who are some of the leaders, coaches, team captains, teammates that you've met throughout your life in sports that really have influenced you to help get you where you are today, and people who mean a lot to you in that sort of regard?
Yeah, so one of my, there's two of them, but one of my soccer coaches growing up that I touched on, his name was Serge Desir. He was big in the Haitian community for soccer. Did camps and did broadcasting and coaching. Some of the most memorable times come from him coaching me and my buddies when we were younger, playing in the Boston Neighborhood Soccer League. Whenever I get a chance, I do talk about him and give him credit for where I am now. Just so many things that he instilled in us as young boys, and things we thought we were never going to need to know, and transitioning into from boyhood to manhood. Those times were phenomenal. I also think back to Mike Madden. He was my high school soccer coach. A lot of the times, things he was teaching us didn't necessarily have to do with soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where, and by the way, he was a phenomenal soccer coach. Don't get me wrong. Knew his X's and O's, was phenomenal, knew how to get a team together and rally up the troops. We did not realize the things that he was trying to teach us until honestly for me probably wasn't until after I graduated college, and I'm like, wow, like that's what coach was trying to tell us.
Yeah.
You know, and it you have that full circle moment, and you're like, wow, like you sit there and you appreciate the fact that a coach had such an impact like that on your life. And I hope everyone gets to experience that. And I truly do believe that that's what it means to be a high school coach. Yes, you have, you know, the X's and O's in the sport itself. But down the road, you want your alumni to come back, or hopefully be on podcasts talking about how you had such a great impact on them.
Yeah. Lindsay Hallian, Needham resident who we've had on, and you know, it's great to bring them back because they'll say a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
You know, about people who, you know, influenced them, impacted them, and provided a positive influence. And it's always, you know, she became a coach at one point, and she played, her coach at Harvard was Westwood, so it's incredible. Like, you know, the town of Westwood, how Westwood's everywhere, you know. And the community too. Like, you could be, we have folks that are 2,000, 3,000 miles away, but they'll tune in if we're doing a live game. You know,
That's awesome.
To cheer on their Wolverines. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
The most rewarding part of my job is seeing the student athletes develop. I don't think there's anything more rewarding than that. I had the athletic info night last night with the parents, and I talked about how a student sent an email about, you know, tryouts and you know, having to miss a day, and was concerned and worried, and I sat there and I was like, wow, like this is coming from a sophomore
Student,
like, like I can't even remember writing or typing out an email at all in high school, if I'm being honest, and just seeing a student advocate for themselves.
Totally.
And that's the ultimate goal, is by the time these students leave Westwood High School and come to the athletic department, they're able to advocate for themselves. You know, it was one of those things, I don't want to call it corny, but I just sat there and I was like, wow, like I love this. Like, this is what it's all about. That is what's rewarding for me. Seeing the students come around full circle and learn how to do things on their own and be able to advocate for themselves, and you know, the sportsmanship stuff, and be leaders and pick other people up. Those are the things where it doesn't matter how hard of a day I had. Everything in the day could have gone wrong, which, by the way, it will. It will at some point. But something like that could just completely wipe out everything else.
Means, you know, that the greater picture, you know, the sports is one thing, but, you know, the advocating for yourself, becoming, you know, an adult and being prepared for life, you know, they're hitting on that. I mean, that's great because A, that's not easy to do. B, it shows a kid cares, you know, and to articulate it too. Like, you know, that's a really good qualities to be able to do. And you know, I typically see that out of the upperclassmen, but anyone who's a freshman, sophomore doing that, you know, they're off to a really, that's a future captain.
Exactly my thought is like, it's almost like, wow, like this is what we're looking for. Like this is what we need. This is what we're trying to instill in everyone.
Yeah. So I know Evan asked this question, but I want to ask it kind of differently as well, is goals for the year. So obviously, you know, there's, the games and whatnot, but you talked a little bit about, we got a little brief behind the scenes look at like some of the things you've done in the past that what we didn't have at Westwood, like newsletters and stuff like that. Outside of like, kind of the game day operations, what are some of your goals to bring to Westwood that we might not have had previously?
There's still some research
Sure.
that I'm doing. I definitely would, I don't know if it's a long-term goal, short-term goal, but as I mentioned, having a newsletter is definitely something that I've been doing over the past 2 or 3 years, and look forward to connecting with community members on that. Highlighting student athletes is super, super important. And anytime you get a chance to do so, I think you should do so.
Definitely.
I'd say definitely. I know how much the community cares about sports, not just the parents or the student athletes, but everyone above and beyond. So definitely would like to get some sort of centralized booster group in place. But in terms of everything else, I kind of feel like it comes as the days go.
Evolves.
Those are like the two things that I could really think of off the top of my head, and of course I touched upon really getting to know people. But by July 1st of next year, if I'm like at least able to do one of those two or like inch closer to it, for me personally, that would be awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
You hired an assistant AD. Tell us a little bit about him. Do you guys have a history, and kind of how you guys looking to attack the whole athletic sphere? Like what will you be looking to kind of put your focus on, and what will his focus be on with Westwood Athletics?
Yeah, so Michael Rector, he's coming from a small charter school in Brockton. He was physical education and athletic director there, and will actually be a physical education wellness teacher here, along with the assistant athletic director roles. Did not know Mike before, so we never crossed paths, but obviously really stood out in his interviewing process, and the thing that stuck out to me most is the energy that he brings. I think it'll be a nice change of pace. And that's no knock on the athletic department before us. I'm still in contact with Matt and Martha, and they were phenomenal and great. I do think myself and Mike will bring some new energy. Mike being able to see and be with the kids during the day, I think is going to be
that's big,
huge and crucial. Having these students in his class, and to be able to see them after school, and not just the athletes, but the non-athletes as well, at games and stuff. Just having that connection to the students will be phenomenal. It'll be a nice mix between some admin stuff and some game coverage for Mike. The position is part-time, so what you don't want to do is have someone burn out. That is only in a
no overtime.
That's only in a part-time position. So him and I we're definitely looking forward to getting started with the students, with the student athletes and the coaches, and I do believe his energy and my energy. It'll be something that I think the folks around here will be able to see and feel.
Love it. Last couple questions that I have. So you come from Needham, which is a little bit bigger than Westwood and probably has a few more sports than Westwood. And
Very, it's good difference.
yeah, where like Westwood, for example, we don't have like wrestling, we don't have some other sports. Is there ever going to be, you know, interest in kind of adding any more sports? And if so, are there like any sports that are on the top of your list that might be on the radar in the next few years?
Yeah. So of course, coming from a school that had 1,700 students to now 860 or so, it's literally, you know, cut in half.
Yeah.
I do like it. It is a nice change of pace. And of course, the athletic department I was in before has the most offerings in the state for public schools. So it is going to be different. You know, some of the non-traditional sports that I was used to covering, we don't have here. Whenever you're looking into adding sports, you really want to look at the long run and the trajectory of the sport. What you don't want to see happen is you add a sport because the class of 2028 and 2029 has a lot of those athletes, and then it
falls off
in 2032. It falls off and it's no longer a thing, and it's not sustainable. So I think it'll take myself and Mike doing some research, not just in the town and looking into the school history, but, you know, also looking at the generation coming up and what are some of the offerings that are pulling more of the students and the student athletes. I was briefed a little bit about wrestling and that there was a wrestling program here. You know, it's and any athletic director can attest to this. It's hard to ever say if you're going to add something, but it's definitely worth you know, taking a look at, and I'm sure along the way it'll come up.
Yeah.
As we talked about, this community cares so much about their sports and athletics, and it's amazing, and you love how connected everyone is. I'm sure eventually there will be some, you know, ex-wrestler athlete that is concerned, you know, why there isn't a wrestling team, and that's just one of the sports I'm thinking about. But, you know, with the amount of students that there are at Westwood and the amount of offerings that we have, those are some things that you want to consider, you know, when looking into the offerings that you have as an athletic department.
And, you know, something else that's, you know, there's a lot more growing. Westwood sports is growing, and there's a lot of new people here. You, Mike, there's a new boys soccer coach, and Josh Mitchell. And I understand there's some more openings still available for coaching. I know specifically, I believe, girls basketball. So for anyone who would be interested, what coaching roles are currently open and how can they apply?
So JV boys soccer is open, and girls basketball is open. Will be closing soon. It should be a simple, you know, Google search, Westwood High School girls basketball coach, or Westwood High School JV boys soccer coach. They'll be able to find it on Talent Ed. They could also go to westwoodathletics.com. My email's up on the website. They could be able to email me, reach out, and I could give them more information on that.
Absolutely. So, Rich, sometimes we ask this question to the coaches and the athletes. Want to ask it to you. It's 12 months from now, and you're sitting down. You're saying that was a very successful first campaign. You know, what does that look like in your eyes?
A very first successful campaign.
State championships?
No. Hopefully folks don't hate me for that. But the state championships are nice, but they don't, you know, it's that's not the end all be all for me. Like if I guess this kind of answers the question. Like, if you're not winning state championships, but the student athletes are having a great experience across all sports every season, then I can sit back and be like, wow, like that was a successful season. Not just the student athletes, but the coaches. If the coaches grow and learn, to me, that is a successful season. I could even flip the script, right? Say there is a team that wins a state championship, but kids did not have a good experience. I don't consider that a successful season. So really the development of the student athletes and coaches, seeing that progress, even if it's not a big leap, but seeing that, okay, we are all working towards something and everyone's doing their part and we're inching closer and closer to that goal, that will be successful for me. And I guess, just any AD could attest to this, just surviving year one.
Yeah.
Year one is always the toughest. So surviving year one and just making it out alive on the other side is
you're doing a good job so far.
And of course, and I say that, lightheartedly. Westwood High School has some of the best admin staff and team and support group around. And that's something that attracted me was, am I going to have the support and get the support I need? And just in my short time here, the support has been tremendous, not just from folks in the school, but people outside of the school and in the community.
Yeah, you're definitely not on an island.
Yeah.
And, I can certainly attest to when you jump into something new, that first year, it's like drinking through a fire hose.
Yeah.
And, but, each day you're going to pick up something and, it becomes more natural and all that. And it's all about the attitude. You have a fantastic attitude coming in, hitting the ground running.
Absolutely. I do think about, even though I shouldn't jump so far already, but I do think about years 3 and year 4 and just, being able to walk around here and call people out by name and just saying
seeing
what's
alumni,
up. And seeing alumni and just saying what's up to folks. It's that's what it's all about. Like really being able to connect to the community and to everyone. That's one of the things I look forward to the most. Is just, and maybe it's my outgoing personality. I don't know, but it's one of the things I love the most. So.
Well, just like you, we're chopping at the bit. I mean, we're sitting here in Flay High Field. We can't wait to the whistle to sound, the games to be in action. Because, I look out here, honestly, and I think about Trevor Ferreira, game-winning goal over there versus Norwood. Wow. And I think about, Charlotte DeMayo had the game-winning goal here to send Westwood to the Final Four for girls lacrosse. So many memories.
Yeah.
And I look at it as there's going to be so many more future memories here. We can't wait to call them. I'm kind of a lunatic up there in the booth when they score. But
you'll hear us if you're down this field anywhere. You'll definitely hear Morgan at some point.
That's awesome.
And then we're going to want to talk to them after and tell them how, we want to know how the emotions are about it. And it's so many great memories here, and we can't wait for future memories. They're right on the doorstep of that. But we want to thank you, for the opportunity to. Come on the Wolverine Report, get to know you and, congratulate you and also say welcome and looking forward to collaborating and working together and, just as excited for the season as you are and can't wait to see what 2025, 2026 has to bring for the sports season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you guys for everything that you're doing for the students and the student athletes and the coverage. It's phenomenal. And for the community and beyond.
Oh, we have just as much as fun as them. We can't give ourselves too much credit, but it's a blast. We like making memories, and it's very similar to you, where we had a positive experience growing up in town, and we just want to have the next generation have that.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, thank you for tuning in to the Wolverine Report, episode 43. Looking forward to seeing you all on the next one.